Popcorn rice after discussion.
Want to know some more fun facts?
Isn't it awesome to see some of your favorite content creators and favorite people, honestly, that you follow here on this app, be a part of this amazing community called the Nerd Initiative?
Yeah, that's amazing. Let me, so she made all that? That's incredible.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
What was this? I think this was like a 2-month process. So it's actually got a hole in it for magnets that hold it on there, the whole 9 yards.
Oh my God.
Wrapped. So yeah, she's an engineer in a nurse's body. What can I say?
Wow. I mean, it's funny because we always start off like these like interviews and profiles by asking kind of like your nerd origin story, like how you got into what you're doing and how you kind of found your way into what you're doing. But it seems like it's kind of like a family affair, which is pretty epic. It's rare. Like my wife is pretty patient with me and what I do, but she's not doing creative, incredible stuff like that. So I would love to hear more about that as well. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, I should say, we've been married for almost 20 years. I think it's over 15 now. So she was an Army brat that moved around a lot, that really loved comics. And I was a nerdy baseball card, football card kid that, liked that side of collecting. And then when we just kind of came together, I fell in love with the movies and therefore fell in love with comics at the same time.
That is awesome. It's definitely a match made in heaven. That's really cool. So yeah, you were saying,
I'm not going to say she would agree with that, but I will say that I'll agree with that.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, as a kid of the 90s, I 100% grew up with football, baseball cards. I mean, it was the peak before we had, the dark times. What was your first like intro into that world, like getting into cards and sports and things like that?
Well, I mean, my parents were pretty good about getting me cards when I was a kid. I was born in 71, so I was in that 78 to 84 range of just getting a bunch of cards. I mean, it was, I wouldn't say I was hard to buy for, but all my relatives knew that whenever my birthday came around or Christmas came around, they could just get me cards, and I would love it, and I would be happy, and and so it was kind of just like the go-to, right? I didn't mind it. I loved it. So it's just one of those things that I just took that on. And actually, I took a break from like 84 to 90, kind of where you were at.
Yeah.
And I jumped back in when the market got flush with just overabundance and I still fell in love with it for about 4 or 5 years. And then it was just like, oh my goodness, it's just too much.
Yeah. Everything was limited edition, and it was a bad time. Bad time.
Well, it was kind of the calm before the storm, because you thought you opened something that had a 3,500 card run. You like had something super special, but it was pre-eBay and all that other stuff where you could just go and buy one for $20, $30, and you didn't have to spend that $80, $90, $200 to try to get a card that was just limited edition, might not have been the one you wanted.
Yeah.
So.
And they had I remember Classic and all the variations, and it was just, it got out of hand after a while, which is how, if you don't mind me asking, I don't want to get too personal because I want to get into the business as well. How did you and your wife meet? Because like I said, I think it's amazing how two fans of similar genres and just kind of fans of, it can be, from fantasy to comics to cards, we're able to meet and kind of, really get into this together. I think it's incredible.
Well, I don't want to plug anybody here, but we'll just say Match.com.
Okay.
So I was recently divorced, kind of getting back into the pool, so to speak. So it just kind of happened that way. It was great. I mean, our first conversations were actually just about, what kind of superhero would you be? What powers would you like? That kind of stuff that kind of started to cement our relationship.
And I got to follow up and ask you, what superhero would you be and what powers would you have?
Well, I will tell you that I'm going to tell you hers. Hers was the flash. She just wanted to be fast. She'd go anywhere, do anything, so on and so forth. I was more the invisible guy, just because I want to know things I shouldn't know, and be places and be invisible at the same time. So
So behind me, I got a couple of beauties you sent me, which I am just like over the moon about, because I love seeing these really cool alternatives to slabbing and having a nicer. There's other companies out there, and so I love seeing these things that you can get, and you can kind of really have art in your home and really have a really nice aesthetic. And it's not like a top loader. So I don't know if you can see, but there's like some hung up over there, which is just, I think the consensus from people is, whether it's guys and their girlfriends or wives or partners or whatever, people like us who kind of do this kind of stuff, we hang it up on, if it's in that, we get killed by, they're like, wait, this is terrible. And so when you start to see these kinds of things, which are affordable and incredibly easy to put together, which is another thing that's incredible. How did this come about? Because this is super cool. And it also seems like you're doing a lot of custom stuff too, as well. I actually put it in order this week because I was like, I got to dive into this world, and I'm sure it's going to be, you hooked in an addict. So it's going to be bad, but how did that all come about?
Well, actually, it kind of started around the time COVID did, right? We were just kind of looking for something to do. We're actually empty nesters now, so I mean, we're both in our 50s, and outside of having one granddaughter, we've got some time to fill, right? We went from going to baseball games, softball games, wrestling matches, those kinds of things, into needing something to fill our time. As well as COVID, we kind of couldn't go anywhere, right? So we were trying to figure out something to do, and we kind of started at the very kind of the bottom, just going like, how can we present things that make them look nice, right? And we started with some cases and those kinds of things, and trying to make little wooden stands to make them stand upright. And this has been a 2.5-year journey to get to what you have in front of you.
Wow.
We've done a lot of things. We tried, ease of use is a big thing for us, right? Because it's just, I mean, how many times have I ever put something in a frame at work and I've never changed it? Never changed it.
Yeah.
It's just not because I don't care. It's because it's done, right? I don't want to have to pick it apart and do all this other stuff. So ease of use is kind of our thing, right? So that case, we actually went from doing kind of a just a regular case, right? To going, okay, well, can we put some color around it? Because I mean, these things get scratched up, like you just really, after a while, they just won't look good, right? And to me personally, this doesn't look great just, Velcroed to a wall. It just looks like it's floating there, right? We just kind of looked at different things we could do to make them actually look like art, because when it comes to comic books, I'm more of an art guy, right? I'm more of a, old fashioned. I mean, the two you have there are just
something like this. Like, this is like a piece of art. It's not even, these whole Virgin covers that are basically just a piece of art.
Right. I mean, like this Clayton Crane right here, this Iron Man.
Wow.
I mean, this is art to me. This is great.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite covers. Iron Man, Tony Stark, Iron Man #7. It's just, I mean, it's just great. I mean, I can't. Yeah. There's just so much to see, right? So we wanted to be able to put those on the wall and just make it so they were easy to swap out, because new comics come along. Your tastes change over time, right? Especially if you're going to be reading a run or something like that. Switch them in, switch them out, do what you need to do to keep it alive for you, right? So we've actually started making these, and we're also planning on getting a new laser in about a month and a half. And we're going to start doing art prints. So 11x17 art prints, about this, the same type of thing, with the same magnetic, ability to swap them in and out, because again, those things, your taste does change. It does, right? And why not have a good way to make it happen for you?
And for those that don't know, we're talking about how easy it is. Like basically, it just does this, and that's it. Which is kind of nuts. And for anyone who, I mean, obviously I have graded comics, and so when you get something graded, I just got a notice today that after 3 months of waiting, there was a Spider-Man 50 that I had a little bit of color touch on the cover. They were not able to remove the restoration. So whatever that color touch was. So it's literally 3 months waiting, coming back. So forget about the time that you invest into waiting to get these things back. But then also, like, if you ever have to, today was the Chris Evans launch for that signing. And so I have, the Avengers 4. And so today and this weekend, I'm going to have to crack that open. And it is not fun. It is an absolute bear. And, I do think graded comics look cool, but at the same time, it is a nightmare to take things in and out and in. And this one is, I got it signed by Conway, I think last year. And I'm just not going to send it to get graded. There's just no point to do all that. I'd rather kind of add to it if possible, or just enjoy it. And so it is nice to have things. I think grading has got out a little bit out of hand these days. We're slabbing Funkos now, or slabbing it's nuts. Was that also like kind of a thing to also have like an alternative to make things easier and more, like I said, it's affordable. I think they're like in the $40 range as opposed to spending, some of the stuff I've spent like it's like $200, $300, $400 to get things encapsulated. And I do think I'm torn having been a comic collector before the phenomenon. And I appreciate and love all kinds of technologies, but sometimes I do want to open things up and read them and be able to kind of enjoy it as well. So I'm on both sides of the fence.
Well, there is something about it, the smell of an old comic book that just kind of gives it to you. But I will also say I've had folks tell me, like this guy, this Spider-Man Flash #3. I'm sorry, Superman Flash Spider. Sorry.
It's all right.
So they're like, I'd like to get my stuff slabbed, but I refuse to let it out of my sight. Right. This is their childhood, sending it off in the mail to somebody to possibly damage or lose really isn't in the cards for them. I can't argue with that. I mean, there's some things I won't let out of my sight. So why should they?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you're doing also, like you said, you have a new laser. I ordered one. It was like a Hobgoblin. I love the fact that there's customized plates and things of that nature. Is that just all part of just like, again, it seems like I said, like it's been 2.5 years of developing things, but you have had a few iterations, which really shows the innovation that you're doing and trying to, like you said, keep pushing the envelope and make it better and better and better. How did that customization come about? Because it really is kind of cool that someone can do. I mean, again, I'm scared for myself because now I just want to go ahead and look at all the books I have and like customize them all and like have fun. And how did that come about, and what's been the reaction from customers? Because it's really fun to kind of really have all these little tweaks on your your collectibles.
Well, I mean, that actually comes from customer feedback. I mean, we constantly get people going, well, what about this? Can you do this? And like I talked about my wife earlier, she is she can noodle anything into making it happen. She's just that person, right? You give her a problem, she will solve it. So it's one of those things where people are like, well, can you do this? And can you do that? I mean, we're pretty much 100% custom shop, right? We do everything based on, what customers want. That's what we do. I mean, we make cases and we make, frames, and we have some, designs that are ours, but other things are just like, I'd like to see this with this with this. Can you make this happen? Right? And so we'll do that.
That's like a classic, it's a throwback, like kind of like what the old shops used to be. Like it's all a personal connection and relationship. So it's kind of awesome.
So we have a lot of like whatnot sellers and Instagram sellers and so on and so forth that reach out like, hey, can you make a stand for us that has our logo on it? So like, for instance, this is one that actually didn't go out, but so like this guy.
That's cool.
Right? It's for, they can actually put slabs or raw comics in here, and they can swap them out really fast. And I mean, we made them a couple options, right? Of just something that is entirely custom that says it's yours, it's for your shop. So, I mean, we do that for a lot of folks.
We gotta, not to derail the interview, but we gotta get something made for Nerd Initiative, because that would be the coolest thing ever. It's like, I can't get enough. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I love connecting with, we've connected with so many, local small shops and like artists. So Brand Flakes is one of our favorites. And so he created this, this Doom print for us, and he did like kind of like a straight end of like our classic logo. And I'm always just amazed at the creativity of people and business, persons. I love that stuff. I can't get enough of it. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. What's the craziest request you've gotten from customers before?
Well, we did have a customer ask us to shoot our stand so it would have bullet holes in it. We declined that one. We will go far, but we won't go that far. So they wanted something a little bit, I think it was for Gunslinger Spawn. So he wanted something a little bit kind of edgy, we'll say. So we did decline that because, it's not our thing. But I'm like, we'll send you the stuff. You can shoot it if you want.
That's awesome. Oh man. And what's next for you guys? What's the, and I'm not, without giving too much away, obviously, because some stuff you want to keep down the road, but is there anything that you're working on that you're extremely excited about that's like going to launch soon or coming out? Or
well, the art print frame that I talked about earlier, that's our next endeavor. That's what we have pretty much on the back burner, and in about 2 months we'll have that hopefully ready to go for public consumption. It's just a matter of getting a new laser, learning how to use it, and making it work. I mean, it's going to be something different. We just used a normal everyday glow forge, no plug.
Wow.
But, it's out of the box, and again, my wife just learned how to use it as best she can. So
how did she get into all that? Because obviously she's incredibly talented and creative I'm still looking in the background. How did she get into that? And she said she's a nurse by trade. She's like an engineer in a nurse's body. Like, how did she, because I mean, that takes a lot of talent and skill to do stuff like that. And where did that come from?
You know what? I think I don't want to talk too much about her because she's right there and she might hurt me. But she's just she has a need to solve problems. Again, sometimes it's problems we make up together. Sometimes it's a problem that somebody will say, "Can you do this and can you do that?" And it's like one of those. I don't want to say it's a tick, but it's just kind of one of those things that spins the dials that get it going. As far as being an engineer and learning everything, she's just very technical. She knows exactly, she's not afraid to pick up a manual. She's not afraid to YouTube a video. She's not afraid to, spend, the time to learn. It's easy for me to just go, what, out of the box, I can't figure it out. I'm done. Right. She's like, I will get into the weeds until I learn it. Right. And that's just her.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And obviously, you're a collector, you've pulled out a few books. Is there, what are your, I mean, I can't end without asking this. What are some of your favorite pieces that you have, or even something that's kind of like out there? Because it does seem like you're expanding beyond comics, right? With, obviously the art prints and things of that nature. Is there a couple of like unique pieces that you own? Because I know you're in your wife's office right now. Is there a couple of pieces that you own that you're particularly proud of that are either just kind of unique or something that like you've had and has a lot of meaning behind it?
Oh, my Punisher. Sorry, she's queuing me up here. I'll be honest. I have so much stuff. I don't even know what to pick as my favorite. Right? I kind of have still my list of things I want. Like, I mean, you have the Amazing Spider-Man right there. That's kind of what my next grail is, right? Okay. I do have the blueprint, which I hold up, and I have it graded as the 9.2, and it's in my stand. It's ready to go. It's just I love it to death, right? I just think that art is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally, we're just kind of building to get to those, I guess, bigger books that are grails for me. I mean, first Hobgoblin. I mean, I know that was what you wanted on your thing.
Wait a
That's
second.
kind of one.
Time
All right.
out. Hold on. And you're gonna see me in my shorts, but it's fine. So the whole reason I have it in one of your cases already, but so I was able to interview and meet John at
Awesome.
Terrificon last summer. So again, another book where it's not in, it's probably like mid-grade, and so it's something that is a beautiful cover, but I was like, I need to get this personalized, right? And so get, you know, the new case. So that's incredible that was your pick, because that's just so it's a funny coincidence.
It is, I mean, it's a beautiful book. I mean, it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's just a classic to me, anyway, right? So
I feel like I derailed what you were saying. Sorry, I interrupted you. I just got excited when I got excited we were on the same page. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm kind of getting into more of the Silver Age stuff. I mean, I'm starting to, get away and kind of get into, the old Fantastic Fours. I mean, I think we just got and you know what? Here's my thing. When it comes to getting books slabbed, if I'm out looking at one and I see one that has a restored label, I don't care. I just like the look of the book. I like seeing it. Like, we just got the first hymn. We got a Fantastic Four, which issue it is. We got the first hymn, and we also got the first Black Bolt slabbed. Look, lower number, but it's still the book, right? It still looks great. I mean, like I said before, it's about the art for me, and that's just classic, good-looking art. So, I mean, that's what I like.
I mean, I think you're dead on about grades and stuff like that. I think like it's cool if it's worth it, and it's cool just if you want to like encapsulate it so that way. Like, I saw a copy on Instagram that they were selling. They had, it was I think Human Torch 2, which is like the 5th ever Marvel comic, and it was coverless because it's like so rare, but it was signed by Stan Lee, and it was just so cool. Like, the wording is incredible. The splash page, such a throwback from like the 40s. But to your point, I mean, I look at the history of stuff that if the cover's ripped or there's things on there or some things weird. If I saw an X-Men 1 that had, I think Cyclops' eyes were colored in by a pen or something like that, and someone was like, it's a special variant edition. They were joking around. I think it's cool. I love seeing books that especially have names of people that owned it and they wrote their name on. I mean, that again, it's part of the heritage and the history behind it, and someone valued this enough to write their name on it or carry it around. Or I think that's great. I mean, that's part of that's the whole part of the journey of this kind of stuff, And you mentioned the smell earlier. That's it. Like, it's been passed around, and I think it's amazing. I know that wasn't a question. Sorry, I kind of ended on that. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else that I didn't touch on that like you wanted to kind of bring up to kind of close out, or is there anything heading in the future?
Just talking about what we do for personalization, or I should say customization. We also, I don't know if you saw on our site, we actually make like cases for like Sports Illustrated and those kinds of things. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that have reached out to us for like odd size Vogue magazines, Sports Illustrateds, Time magazines. Now, granted, some of them we can't do because they're just too big for our machine right now, but we will be able to do those in the future. So that's one of the things that's really, kind of on the cusp.
I will say, it's funny you brought that up, because when you were talking about it, but I don't want to make it about me. So today, when the Chris Evans autograph signing for C2E2 dropped, one of the things I picked up, because I was like this, I always think about the journey and the fun behind it, right? So like, I went to Terrificon with my wife and got this same thing. This was actually a birthday gift from my wife.
Awesome.
And so she's in on it. And I always think about, when I pick up something, I think about how can I, make it part of the journey and add to it with, this convention or that convention, or pop it out, get it signed by somebody else and add to it. So what I did was, one of them, they had the Avengers from 2012, the classic shot of the whole cast. And so I got that signed, and the whole plan, it's like an 11 by 20. It's very odd. It's like, obviously, and I was like, the whole plan of that is to get that signed, hopefully by others, along the way. And so, but what's better with something like that than being able to just pop it out and not have to like screw something out or even take it out of a frame, because that's a pain. So yeah, I mean, that, again, not a question, but I think that really like leans into it, because as you were saying it, I kept thinking, I'm like, I want one of those print frames for that, because it'll make it so much easier just to pop it in and out and get it signed and whatever. So I think that's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of about it. I mean, again, we do some other things. I mean, you've probably seen on our site that are really custom jobs, and I don't want to dive too much into those, but I mean, pretty much if you reach out to us and you have something in mind, we can generally make it happen. We're going to start making larger. This is something I got from my wife. So we'll be making, this is the Star Wars program, original Star Wars program. So we're going to be making a case for that. So it'll be similar to that. So they'll be sideways, so we can come in and out. Because I mean, while this is a piece of art to us, it's still nice to be able to open it, take a look at it.
That is so cool.
Rekindle that. So.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, it's funny because I'm looking up now too. I have like things up there, like there's like these odd sizes, like, Foom magazines. I have like Foom 1 signed by Stan Lee, and it is falling apart, but I don't care. It's really about the story behind it. And so that is cool, because I do, it does get troubling when everything has to fit into a certain box. And that's just not how, it's not how things go.
How it works.
Yeah. So you can guarantee that I'll be reaching out for some more custom things, especially, for Nerd Initiative and stuff like that. Cause I love that stuff. I think that's amazing. And when we cut this together, because we're recording and we're going to have a producer cut it together and edit, we will do all kinds of overlays from the website and from the Etsy store and photos. And so it's going to have all kinds of stuff over it. So,
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's, there's so much cool stuff on your site. I could like browse it all day long. Like, so yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That means a lot. I mean, again, we do the work that we love, right? I mean, this is a choice. This is our choice job, right? And I mean, I'll be honest, and hopefully I'm honest for my wife as well. This is the job I look forward to after I go to work, right? It's a passion. What is it they say? Stress is when you do something that you don't want to do. Passion is when you want to do something. So this is our passion. So this is fun for us. It's a good problem, I guess.
That's awesome. I feel the same way. Like doing this is what I get a kick out of, and meeting people and hearing their stories and whatnot. So I could not agree more.